Okay, so we're going to tackle the two different species, Brachypelma smithi, Brachypelma hamorii. I'll try and explain the differences in the way that I see is the best to identify the two. And I'm not going to be patronising, but I'm just going to explain it in the simple way for you to understand. Now, this is my adult female Brachypelma hamorii, okay? I've had her for years, she's gorgeous, and she's quite old. So you'll notice in general that Brachypelma hamorii are darker than Brachypelma smithi. You'll notice this more so around the side of the knees and on the carapace. Now, that's not to say that the carapace is a good way to identify Brachypelma, because it isn't. But generally, the carapace will be darker on Brachypelma hamorii, and you will see darker sections of the side of the knees. Okay, notice the orange coloration on the knees, and notice how that orange does not continue to the second section of the legs. Let's look at an adult female Brachypelma smithi. One of my adult female Brachypelma smithi then, okay? You can see clearly that she is far more vibrant than Brachypelma hamorii. Notice how the orange coloration on the patella continues in the second section of the legs. You'll also notice that the carapace does not bear as much black setae, black hairs, as Brachypelma hamorii. Now, it's very clear to see that the knees are far more orange than Brachypelma hamorii. I would say that hamorii are borderline red. The giant orange knee, Brachypelma smithi, really does live up to its name. You can see from this angle what I mean about the coloration on the carapace. Let's look at another Brachypelma smithi. Here is my gorgeous immature male. Okay, you can see again that the black setae on the carapace is starting to fade away. As Brachypelma smithi get older, they will have less and less black hair, black setae on the carapace. You can see again the vibrance of the knee and the second section of each leg. This is something that shows really well on camera. From the front profile, Brachypelma smithi is very identifiable. Let's look at another specimen. We've gone back to my Brachypelma hamorii adult female. You can see that the differences are very distinguishable. Notice how I said about the coloration on the knees, and that it doesn't really flow to the further sections of the legs. Notice the full carapace in black. One other distinguishing feature which I find useful to separate the two species is as follows. Now, we're looking at some old documentation here, but you have to consider that Anitha is now smithi and hamorii stays as hamorii. So, look at the patella on Brachypelma smithi. Notice that hamorii in some sections has a small triangular insert of dark hair, dark setae. And you'll notice that this does not occur on Brachypelma smithi. You can see this more clearly on my adult female when I lower the lighting of the camera. Look at the start of the knee section. Okay, you can see that small bit of black that starts on the knees. Compare this to my other adult female Brachypelma smithi. This is my oldest female Brachypelma smithi, and you'll notice that what we just spoke about isn't there. It's also very clear to see that on the knee section of Brachypelma smithi, there is a clear cream influence. It's very, very obvious compared to Brachypelma hamorii. and you will see that the orange from the knees and that coloration continues throughout the leg, okay, in the other sections. Only when you've seen a few of these together will you really be able to understand the differences, and you can see that the carapace follows almost a maple leaf kind of pattern. That is not probably the best way to identify them. However, you should be okay with what I said about the knees, the coloration, and if you'd like to read further into this, I'm going to link one of the official descriptions, okay, so you can have a read and really try and get to grips with these two species. Now, if you think you have Brachypelma smithi and you'd like me to identify it, then please, excuse me, please either send the pictures to me or get them to me somehow and I'll tell you what you've got. If you think it's hamorii, do the same, okay, and we will try and really figure out what you've got. Now, fortunately, I've got myself 2 adult females and a male Brachypelma smithi, so we should have a breeding project on the go in the near future. Now I'm going to put these two together, okay, so you can see the clear differences. Another good indicator, okay, when we're talking about adult female specimen, is that the giant orange knee really is giant. She dwarfs Brachypelma hamorii. Now I know this is not a great position to show you that, but Brachypelma smithi are leggier and bigger. They are the biggest Brachypelma species. Hamorii won't quite reach that, okay? And when I put them side by side, it's clear to see, in terms of coloration, how different they really are. She's a monster. Doesn't do it much justice there, but she really is. Okay, and this is a big hamorii female, believe me. However, I still believe she's got a bit of growing left.